If you're into rat-based pedals, you're going to want to carry on watching this video. So as most of you will have seen, one of our newest releases was the updated version of the Cranium Murine distortion. This is the second iteration of the pedal, and it's back in the new, smaller, updated format that we've been moving all of our lineup over to. This one has undergone some pretty big changes from the V1 in that it's had a completely new facelift, obviously the new format, and some pretty big changes to the circuit itself. So what is the idea behind the Cranium? Well, it really just started with me tinkering with the Rat circuit. Many of you will be familiar with the Proco Rat, probably one of the most infamous distortion pedals of all time, used on countless albums, records over however long it's been out, I think since the mid-70s, so 40, nearly 50 years now. It's a great circuit, and there have been some variations on it over the years. Obviously loads of other small companies like myself have taken on the circuit and done their own tweaks to it, and really what I wanted to capture was to dive into all those variations of the circuit, see what the main differences were, and see if I could get them all in one box, or as near as in one box. And when you really look at the variations of the Rat circuit, a lot of it comes down to the clipping diodes that are used in each variation. Now, I'm not going to dive in massively heavy on what clipping diodes are and their function. If you want to learn more about that, I'll put a link to a video that we posted a few months back that kind of explains in general what the purpose of clipping diodes and diodes are in guitar pedals. But for now, what I'm going to do is keep it fairly broad and just go through the different variations of the Rat circuit over the years and the clipping diodes that they've used. The original Proco Rat and the Rat 2 both use silicon diodes. The Turbo Rat used red LEDs. The U Dirty Rat used germanium diodes. The Fat Rat had a three-way switch to let you switch between germanium, silicon and MOSFETs. The Juice Tone Rat, which was two rats in one, both had three-way clipping switches for diodes, and one of the options on there was a diode lift, and that means the diodes are just taken out completely and you're just getting the pure op-amp distortion. There were a couple of different variations made by Proco that weren't actually sold under the Rat name. One of which was the Solo, which had three different asymmetric clipping options. And there was also a bright pink pedal called the Brat. This was a bit of a strange one in that it wasn't massively different to the original Rat, and the clipping diodes are pretty much the same. It was more that they'd made some changes to the negative feedback loop, which made it much more aggressive, much kind of angrier, punkier sound. There are a few other variations that have been released through the years, but a lot of them are more just cosmetic changes like anniversary releases and things like that. So what you've got on the Cranium is 8 different clipping options that encompass all of those options and some more. So from 1 to 8 all the way around, you've got germanium, silicon, LED, then you've got asymmetrical germanium, asymmetrical silicon, asymmetrical LED, you've got a MOSFET transistor hybrid clipping mode, and then you've got a diode lift at the end. I've found having that diode lift option at the end is really helpful if you want to run a bass through the Cranium, because it allows you to not have that super compressed, distorted sound all the time, which would make the bass a bit flubby and a little bit undefined. It just allows room for those bass frequencies to breathe a little bit. On top of the stock rat variations that have been released by Proco, you've obviously then got a lot of inspired by and based on rat circuits that have been released by other smaller independent companies like myself. And a popular mod for a lot of DIYers and a lot of these other companies that are releasing based on pedals is what's called the Roots mod. The Roots mod is normally just a simple toggle switch that takes out one of the resistors in the circuit. What this does is bring the gain down somewhat, but also stops the bass being attenuated, because rats as they come stock are quite trebly and mid-rangey and they cut a lot of bass. So this allows you to just not attenuate that bass so much. And what we've done is kind of a double Roots mod, in that we've got the freak and body controls. So what we've done here is that there's actually another resistor in the rat circuit that has a lot of impact on the frequency response and the overall kind of feel of the distortion. So what we've done is taken both of those resistors, and instead of putting them on switches where you're just taking them in and out of the circuit, we've actually put them on pots, so you can dial in exactly how much resistance you want for each resistor. Both of these controls obviously work very interactively with both the gain and tone controls, because that's what they're affecting. It really isn't the same as just sticking a tone stack on the end of an existing circuit. So there you have it. Hopefully you've enjoyed this little explanation of our ideas behind the Cranium, and hopefully it's given you a bit more context as to where the idea for the circuit came from, and explained a little bit more about the options and the tones that are available in the pedal. As always, please check out our social media pages on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. That's where we're posting regular updates about what we're up to, new releases, sales, everything like that. And we'll see you next time.